I'd like to welcome you back to my series of videos on being an applied statistician using JAMOVI. In this video, we're going to deal with another chi-square test. There is a previous video which dealt with this issue. The chi-square test of association is the test we're going to deal with today, and not the goodness of fit test. Let's start, as we always do, by looking at our statistical decision tree. So last video, we dealt with a difference test, which was for nominal data, and we used a chi-square goodness of fit test. You will notice that we also have a chi-square test under nominal data in association. And that's the test we're going to deal with today. So when you're looking at the association between two nominal variables, the test you're going to use is a chi-square test, and it's called a chi-square test of association. So let's explore what that means for a second. So when do we use a chi-square test of association? So consider the following research question. Is there a significant relationship between the language group of students who visit the writing center and the degree to which they are satisfied with the tutoring they received? So we have here two variables. We have students who have different language groups, and we have three levels: English, Spanish, and Korean. And we also have a variable, which is the degree to which students are satisfied. They can be very satisfied, somewhat satisfied, and not satisfied with the tutoring they received. And the question that interests us is the satisfaction level really the same across these two groups? Or is there some relationship between the degree, the language that they speak at home, and the degree to which they are satisfied with the tutoring? So let's do some question analysis. What are our variables? Well, we have language groups and we have degree of satisfaction. For language groups, we have three levels: English, Spanish, and Korean. For degree of satisfaction, we also have three levels: very satisfied, somewhat satisfied, and not satisfied. We have an outcome variable. We have a variable, at least. We have two of them, right? That's why we're looking at association between two variables. And we have language groups and degree of satisfaction. What type of variable? Well, both of these are nominal variables. Okay. Let's take a schematic look at what actually happens here. So actually what we're interested in is the relationship between observed counts on a nominal variable number 1 versus observed counts on a nominal variable number 2. And what we're interested in is this relationship systematic, or is it just random? In other words, when we say when we say there's a significant association, what we're really saying is that there is some systematic relationship here which is above chance. In some ways, that's a low level of assurance, but it is an important level of assurance and very relevant to when you have nominal data. Okay, so when do you use the chi-square test of association? Well, there are a few cases here that we can think of. First, when you're interested in whether there's a relationship between two nominal variables. So if you have two nominal variables, you can't use any other sort of test that we've learned so far in this series. So you really have to go to the chi-square test of association. And it is an association. That's what we're testing. Both variables are nominal, and we have a frequency count, a number of people for each category. The data consists of two nominal variables. If it's one variable, then we have to go and do a goodness of fit test. A key assumption of the chi-square test of association is that each subject contributes data to only one category. So you can't be both a Korean speaker and an English speaker. You have to be one or the other. At least 5 people in each category and subcategory, and no categories with 0. And with that, I suggest we go over to JAMOVI, and I'll teach you how to conduct the chi-square test of association in JAMOVI. As you can see, I've opened up JAMOVI, and we're on the data page. I have here two variables. One variable is writing center satisfaction or tutoring satisfaction, and the other is language group. And as you can see, both of these are nominal variables, and both of these have 3 levels: English, Spanish, and Korean for the language group, and very satisfied, somewhat satisfied, and not satisfied for the tutoring level. And the question I have is there an association between here which is beyond a sort of just random connection? So let's go to analyses, let's go to frequencies. Let's go down here to independent samples, test of association, because remember we want to look at the association between these two variables. Okay, before I move over the variables, let's see what we've got here. All I want here really is the chi-square. That's a variable I want. I'm not going to do one-tailed. I just want to know if there is an association. I'll not only have 2 variables in this case. I've got observed counts, but I also want expected count so that I can interpret this if there is a significant association here. Okay, so with that, let me just move the variables over. Let me put writing center in the rows, language group in the columns. And you can see that this populates this table directly. So let's first look at the chi-square. Well, we have a value of 11.9. We have an n of 50. We need this for reporting purposes. The degrees of freedom is 4. And we have a significant association. And this is at the 0.02 level, which is significant. When we want to explain this, we can look at the contingency table. Remember, this is expected if this was sort of just random and distributed. So we would expect to have 10 English speakers who are very satisfied, but actually we have 13. So up here, we're actually above what we would, so we have above expectations for the English speaker who are satisfied. If we go down here to the if we go over here to the Korean speakers, we would only expect about 2 Korean speakers to actually be dissatisfied. And actually what we have is 5. So they're overrepresented in the dissatisfaction level. If we look at the somewhat satisfied, we see that the English is very much in line, the Spanish is very much in line, and the Koreans are more or less in line. With that, all that's left to do is to report this, and we do see that in this particular case that there is a relationship between the language group and the degree of satisfaction. These results, of course, do not explain why that is. They just show that there is an association here. So now let's report the results of our test. As you can see, I've copied the data output from the JAMOVI program, and this is just to help you identify where the information actually is. So let me read to you how to report this. A chi-square test of association was performed to examine whether there is a relationship between the language group of students who visit the writing center and the degree to which they are satisfied with the tutoring they receive. A significant association was found for the language of the student and the degree of the tutoring satisfaction. Chi-square, 4 degrees of freedom, that's the first number. N, the sample size was 50, 11.9 was the chi-square value, and it was significant at 0.018. That's basically what you need to report for the chi-square. I would go one step further and just say something about the contingency table, what we're actually observing, what is the nature of this relationship. Well, in this case, more English speakers than expected were satisfied with their tutoring, while more Korean students were not satisfied with the tutoring they received. As you can see, this is a relatively easy test to both understand and report, and to do, I would say, in JAMOVI. As always, I hope this has been useful for you. I hope this helps you move forward with your research, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.